EverLoved being a mobile service, it's one of those things where we may feel a little bit not isolated in a way, but we are in charge of our own work ethic and perception, I guess, and those kinds of things. We don't work in an office. We're not typically in a practice as far as a building. How does that work for you as far as the flexibility? Do you still feel supported?
Yes, so that is a great question. I think that one of the good things about being able to work independently is the flexibility for sure. With that being said, you don't have the same atmosphere as if you were in a clinic or an office setting. However, being able to build such a good relationship with my teammates and having transparency and rapport has been really critical in just maintaining kind of the attitude that we have here. And it's been very positive for me. I feel very supported. I feel very, each day just kind of optimistic about the day and what we're going to get to accomplish in terms of helping our clients and families within our community, for sure.
What do you think your favorite part is about EverLoved?
My favorite part about EverLoved, so I would have to say getting to know so many members within our community is such a positive, and being able to connect with them and just being invited into their homes, being invited and getting to know them personally is just something that I've never experienced with another job, and it brings me a sense of, I just feel like what I'm doing is very needed, and whereas maybe in another job I've not felt that before. What about you?
That's a good question, to be honest with you. I think there's multiple things that I feel as if it could be my favorite, even though it's not an easy,
by no means,
field. We have picked somewhat of a heavier branch of veterinary medicine. I'll get the question a lot as far as, how do you do this every day?
Right.
Or how do you only do this as a practice? And I think it does make me pause, but at the same time, I don't think I've ever experienced more love than I have on a regular basis when I'm treating patients now, and recognizing that emotion in the families,
right,
than I ever did in a practice.
Yes.
I absolutely felt, the acknowledgement and, the appreciation in a practice, but it's nothing like being invited in someone's home and being accepted right away by the family and the pet, and understanding that I'm there to offer understanding, peace of mind, comfort, and ultimately the gift of peace. I cannot think of it as being, I'm taking something away.
Right.
And I think that ultimately is my favorite. I'm able to go home every day knowing that I made a difference in these families. While it doesn't always seem as light and cheery, I understand that.
Right.
But I've made a difference, and it's fulfilling.
Absolutely. I totally understand that. I think it's really an honor just to provide support to families, but also dignity to the pet at the end of life. It's a very rewarding feeling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, of course. I think another really neat thing with EverLoved, what we're trying to build here is creating a culture and a flexible work mindset. To where we hear these work-life balance buzzwords always kind of bouncing around, right?
Right.
And I don't know if it's ever that balance. It's more of like a harmony.
Yes.
Where we can find this idea of we're offering a flexible work schedule for someone to tell us what they would like to give us as far as what works with their family in exchange of them extending their care and compassion and empathy towards our community.
Yes. And I definitely, working here, feel that in my day to day. And I think it really contributes to just such a great work-life balance that although sometimes is acclaimed, I truly feel it here. But aside from, how we view the work culture and the work-life balance, what are some other unique things about EverLoved, or unique things in what we wish to accomplish in a year, 5 years from now? What are you thinking that looks like?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I think ultimately it comes down to awareness.
Yes.
We want families and veterinary practices to recognize we're here for them.
Yep.
In those times of need, we want to be able to extend care even further than what we have to offer now, and be able to give even more pets the dignity of passing at home, or the idea of walking through quality of life assessments in their environment, to see if there's changes we could make just within the home space to give them, that quality of time extended. I think ultimately my goal would just be a common name in households, to know that people know who to call and who to contact when it comes time to planning for these end of life appointments. I want to also make sure that our profession has the ability to talk genuinely about euthanasia, and bringing it up comfortably within the practice, making sure that the idea of euthanasia, which is meant to be the good death, is still an appropriate option for some of these diseases and patients. If we can be more comfortable in speaking about it, and EverLoved becomes more of an awareness for those in our community, I think we have the ability to transform end of life for our pets.
Absolutely. I think that's wonderful and exactly in line with how I see EverLoved in the future. But it really is a beautiful thing, and I think it does come down to awareness. And I just want the people in our communities in which we operate to understand more about the process. And I think we've seen ourselves firsthand a need for that. I think education is such an important part of this as well. Certainly.
We talk a lot about community, and both you and I are from Lakeland.
Yes.
Born and raised in Polk County. Tell me a little bit about your background.
So I was raised in Lakeland since I was pretty small. I actually grew up, though, probably the first 8 years of my life, I think, in Wauchula. So I was young. I don't, remember as much, but we did, one thing in my formative years that has impacted how much I love animals and is still present in everything that I do. Growing up, we lived on like a very small little hobby farm. We had 5 German Shepherds, and they used to look out for me, and it just really, I think, impacted my love for animals and loving those dogs so much. They really took care of me. As we moved to Lakeland, and I've really always considered myself a Lakelander. We've always been active in our church community at St. Joseph's, and going to high school here and growing up has been just such an amazing thing. It's been such a pleasure to watch Lakeland grow, and not only just in businesses and but in population. So I think it's ultimately just a very positive thing, and there's a lot of opportunity here. So it's been great to see. But what about you?
That's awesome.
No.
Similar. However, I didn't have a stint in Wauchula. born and raised in Lakeland,
Mhm.
all the way through. I left for a stint to do some dance
Yep.
work up in Indiana. But then
Mhm.
after that, came back and went to USF, but still worked in Lakeland in the veterinary clinics around, and UF for vet school, and
Yes.
kind of brought my kiddos and everyone, fur kiddos at that time, with my husband back to Lakeland, and then started our family. And it's just
wonderful.
Yeah, it's nice to know that we have the opportunity to impact a community that means so much to us.
Absolutely. I guess I should have mentioned I went to FSU, so Stephanie and I have a little rivalry going on there, but but we do have a commonality. We found out the other day we actually were both in the same sorority in college. We had no idea, so that was fun. Yeah.
So
very good.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time. I know we talk all the time in general, but we wanted to make sure we were able to share it with you as our community. So hope this helps you understand a little bit more about EverLoved and what we're all about.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Really good. And sorry, I didn't know
that was.
I was attached to St. Joe. Like,
really?
That's where we were kindergarten through 5th grade, and
oh my gosh,
she came over to Rochelle.
That's what my best friend, her name's Pierce. She did the same thing. We went to St. Joseph's together, but she then went to Rochelle and then Harrison, and I just stayed at Catholic school the whole time. But it's very good.
Do you guys want to do like a minute and a half of just introducing yourselves, saying that you are currently the team at EverLoved, and saying that you are looking to expand? That was kind of the only thing that wasn't touched on, was like growing the team.
Right.
So I don't know if
we could like edit it with certain things,
or it could just be something like a little separate too, or it could even be it could also be like the beginning, and it could be like, hey, we are EverLoved, and we are looking to grow our team. Here's a little interview we did with each other to get to know us, EverLoved,